So Keren, a really big thank you, first of all, from me and everybody else who's going to be watching this. It's great to have you on board in these EdTech sort of leader sessions. I was really keen to get you on board because obviously, one, you run a reasonable large sort of support team, which is really important, and it's really interesting to get to know your opinions because I think ultimately a lot of people, especially in the EdTech industry, forget about the amount of influence and the amount of conversations that you have with schools, which means it's really important to get your views on where you think the shape of the market is going. So a big thank you.
Okay.
Cool. Now you've been in sort of North Yorkshire Council for a number of years now. Is that right to say? I won't say how many.
Since 1997. So yeah.
That's amazing. So
I was 12 when I started. No.
I was going to say younger, obviously. 1997.
Yeah, 1997 was when I started with Yorkshire County Council, and I was brought in as an IT officer to work with schools. So I have worked all of my career in education, IT as such, or EdTech as you maybe want to call it.
Yeah, amazing. And so for that's 3 years longer than I've been in EdTech. So, we've been in almost the same amount of time, which is amazing. Which is cool. And you must have seen a lot of changes over that time, for sure.
Oh, massive changes. If you think about the MIS systems in there, which was maybe just one computer in a secondary school, which ran a product called Script, which was school recording information for pupils and teachers. There you go. That's taking the memory back. But yeah, it was developed by a company called Nord Sanderson, based in Leeds, and we had in secondary schools just one PC that was running this Script system. And it was run on one PC, and it depended in the school. We were always interested, it depended in the school who was the most influential. So if it was the admin that was the most influential, they got the computer. If it was the head teacher that was the most influential, then they got the computer.
Wow.
But yeah, it's obviously grown from there. And, I was part of the team that put LANs into schools, so the local area networks, through the DFE funding. I was also part of the team that introduced the interactive whiteboards into schools. And, it's interesting to see when we put the LANs in, especially, sort of the early 2000s, schools didn't know why I was there. They questioned, what do I need one of these for? Why are you asking me to make some space for some hubs and switches and a cabinet? And why are you coming in and putting a load of cabling around the school? I kept going, you'll see, I'll tell you now, it'll work. And now, they wouldn't think of living without that LAN in a school or connection to the internet and that type of thing. It was the foresight of the DFE to see that and to put a lot of funding into it, which made a really good foundation for schools to be able to then build on things like anything that uses the internet and local area networking. So yeah, sorry, I've been around a long time.
Oh, that's amazing though, isn't it? So I remember when they used to be in lots of schools 2 different networks, the curriculum and the administration networks as well.
Yes, we had all that, and that seems to have mostly disappeared now. We don't have two networks like that. We put in front of schools the reasons for having 2 networks and the reasons for not having 2 networks, and they made the decision as to whether they thought it was the right thing to do. So yeah, it was it was a good foundation, was that, putting those lands in, which then allowed schools to start to develop their ed tech and start to use the internet, which then also allowed companies to start to develop products that could be delivered across either the internet or those local area networks.
Yeah, man. No, I totally agree. So you were there when Sims initially probably went into lots of these schools.
Well, interestingly, North Yorkshire didn't go down the Sims route until sort of probably about 2003, 2004. We were with the Sanderson Nord company. Then we went to a company called Key Solutions, which was eventually taken over by RM. And we were one of the first authorities to have RM Integris, as it was then. What happened when RM took over? They decided to put it onto a cloud. They've decided, they were one of the first to put it into a data center and host it as such, as we know now, in the cloud. What happened in North Yorkshire was we didn't have the infrastructure as far as the internet was concerned to be able to deliver that to a lot of our rural schools. And that made us think twice about RM Integris. So we had to go out to the market at that point. And at that point, we got Capita Sims. So we were actually quite late at being a customer of Capita Sims, as it was then. So yeah, it was in because now the tide has totally turned. With schools are looking at these cloud products because they're out there and they're very good. And unfortunately, I'll say ESS Sims are still struggling to get that product to market, which is a real shame. But back when we first went Capita Sims, the reason for that was because we did not have the infrastructure to be able to deliver over the internet what RM Integris required. So yeah, but obviously a big change around now, which is when we came to doing our framework, when we realized that the market was changing and schools were interested in cloud products. We've always worked on, in North Yorkshire, we've always worked on giving schools choice. And that's why we put the framework in place, which gave schools the choice of Sims being one of them, and then Bromcom, Scholar Pack, RM Integris, and Pupil Asset as cloud-based systems. So yeah, that was, and schools had the choice as to whether to go to a cloud or to stick with Sims as it was then. So
yeah, that's a really good point as well, because I guess sometimes technology can be further ahead, I suppose, with the RM scenario than when the infrastructure is ready. Sometimes people are just not ready for something that's coming. Where now you're absolutely right. Everybody's on Wi-Fi. Everyone's got access to the internet. It's generally quite fast as well, especially in schools now. So they are probably more ready to have a cloud-based solution.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think the pandemic has shown that those that were on the cloud-based solutions, their staff were working from home. Those that were on Sims were having to, in some cases, go into the school to be able to do what they needed to do. And a lot of schools have questioned if their product was right is the product still right for them? It's one of those that, do you want to go cloud because it's anytime, any place, anywhere? And in North Yorkshire, we do, in some of our training courses, joke about, you can do this on the beach in Barbados, sort of thing,
If only.
You want to be doing you want to be doing your attending, you can do it on the beach in Barbados. But with Sims, you're obviously in a lot of cases with the North Yorkshire schools, they're being restricted to actually being within the school environment to be able to do what they need to do. So yeah, and and schools now have that choice, especially, academization coming along. That's all about choice. That's about giving schools choice as to what they want to do and how they want to do it and which products they want to buy. Just being there to support the schools with whichever product they choose. I don't want to be somebody that sits there going, you don't want that because it's, they make a choice and we back them on that choice, and we can give them the pros and cons, but we can say, yeah, no, that will work for you. We've looked at these products on the market, and that is a good product, and we know that if you put that in, you'll get the outcomes that you require.
I think that's brilliant. Because I think ultimately each school. I know we like to think every school is the same almost, but they're not really. They do still have their own particular needs. And so I think the way the approach that you're taking is fantastic, because it should all be about choice. You're absolutely right.
It is, yeah, and and we, I can go to somewhere like Harrogate, and a school that is just down the road from another school can work in a totally different way to the school that's up the road, but I don't want to, it can be down to the senior leaders in the school, the way that they want to work, and it can be down to where the school is based within that town or village or wherever. It can just be down to and the pupils that they've got in there and their surrounding area. And they know best. They know best what their school needs and what they need to be able to get those pupils through their education and the outcomes that they require.
Do you find that the schools now have a better understanding of the information and the insight they can get from these systems, and so they are being a bit more picky or a bit more subjective about some of these things?
Yeah, I think we see some schools really pushing the data, and requiring reports that maybe an MIS company hasn't thought about, and going, oh, actually, that's a really good idea. And if you require that, then somebody else might require that. Because you do have things like, ad hoc type reporting within all these systems, but sometimes a school will try and push that software company and say, actually, we'd really like this. And that the data analytics and all that sort of thing, I think a lot of schools are pushing themselves that way because of the questions that they're being asked. Whether it be either DfE or the local authority or Ofsted or governors or or a parent even. How can I get that data out of this system? Or is that data in the system, and is it something that I want to keep in the system? So yeah, a lot of those questions are asked, I think, on a daily basis. Yeah,
that's interesting. And in relation to the ones that the schools who have said, we want to have anytime, anywhere access, or want to do this, want to do my census return in Barbados.
Yeah.
Do you find that's more primary, or do you find secondaries are also feeling the same way?
I think secondaries are feeling the same way. Yeah. I think secondaries are feeling the same way. And yeah, I think secondaries are seeing a move to some of the bigger products out there, the MIS products out there. Sims is very good at doing what it does. It is very good at doing what it does. And I still get schools saying to me who have moved to another product, it'd be really good if it did that. And I look at it and go, well, that's how they did it in Sims, isn't it? Yeah, but really good if they did that as well.
Yeah, no, I can.
Which, because Sims, it is a really, really good product and schools really like the product, but the cloud, them not moving to the cloud as quickly as they did, I think is where schools are willing to go, well, I'd rather be in the cloud and not have these features.
Yeah, indeed.
So yeah, and for us, we have Sims is a massive product, and whether you're a primary or a secondary, the core product is the same. And a lot of the primaries look at it and go, well, I don't use half of that. I just don't use it at all. So start to look at some of the other products that are more primary focused.
Yeah.
Within the market, and go, well, yeah, that does exactly what I need it to do. I don't need anything else. I can see what I need to do. It's intuitive, and I can just get on with it. Where there's a lot of things within the core product of ESS Sims
they all do
that they're not using.